Say kids, what time is it? PDR tool time.
Hey everybody, this is John Hiley with PDR Tool Time. I have Myke Toledo, Daniel Grom, and Vince D'Alessandro here. And we are bringing you our next episode, which we're going to talk about the top 5 tools on our list. We're actually going to go through and break it down one by one. But to start off the show, we're going to go ahead and talk about the week we've had. And judging by Mike's hair today, he might not have had that good of a morning today. But let's.
You guys can't see Myke, but we can. And,
Right.
If you guys know the Three Stooges, if you know Shemp, it's kind of looking like that.
Shemp.
A cross
okay.
between Shemp and Elvis.
Sha-na-na. You guys remember Sha-na-na?
Sha-na-na.
Sha-na-na.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something, Daniel. How's your week been, buddy? Let's tell us what's been going on this week so far. I know it's Monday, but
if you can see my background right now, I'm in beautiful Tahoe right now, staying at the Fireside Lodge. If you guys ever want to go to Tahoe and stay at a great place, the Fireside Lodge is the place, man. #1 rated in all of Tahoe. Just cute, small, little quaint place. Each room is themed. I'm in the Mariner room, and it's very cabin-like fireplace. It's gorgeous, and they have like a bed and breakfast kind of thing going on in the little lodge. And the owner, Dave, is just a great guy.
The Mariner room. So where's the mermaids? There's one on the back wall there, right? You got some mermaids?
Yeah,
Mermans?
probably something like that. They had this great old-fashioned arcade. They have an old skeet ball. They have an original black and white Asteroids, Galaga, and Miss Pac-Man. Great
Nice.
place to have
Nice.
fun. Yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
That's my week.
so obviously you're doing better than the rest of us. You're sitting in Lake Tahoe right now.
Yeah.
And chilling
Good.
out. So, yeah, I'll tell you guys a little bit about what's going on here. I am actually, believe it or not, last week I trained a gentleman and his wife, Crystal and Dwayne, and Crystal is 6 months pregnant.
Wow.
Which was quite interesting because she is a really decent technician, and one of the challenges is teaching her how to use a different way to leverage tools. And because she's so small, you can imagine a lot of us guys, we will muscle out a dent and just crank them out. And we don't think that somebody who doesn't have that much muscle needs a different technique and a different way to do things. So that was kind of my challenge last week, which was crazy because it led me into this week. And the gentleman that I'm training right now, his name's Jay, and he's a Korean fellow. And he's 70 years old.
Holy
And
moly.
he's been doing PDR for 20 years. And we're going through an advanced training session, but he's the same way. He's kind of a smaller Korean guy. And it was real interesting because I'm trying to develop this technique where you use a lot of body weight. And I'm really starting to, it's causing me to think outside the box and think about different ways you can use the center of your body to torque and to take away all this pressure that you're going to have on your wrist and all that kind of stuff. And it's been a quite interesting week for me because now I'm thinking of this new dent trainer tutorial that I'm going to come out with that we just talk about how to use your body weight to offset all of the arm muscles and things like that you would normally use doing PDR. And just the discoveries. Well, number one, I found out that I'm always using my body weight. Like sometimes, like, you guys know how when you go in through a wire harness down there at the back of the door, I subconsciously was always taking my leg and putting it up against my arm. And at the same time I made a push, I was tilting my whole body and my leg into it, generating additional pressure with just my whole body and twisting my leg into my arm.
That's, Vince is probably really good about that. That's Dent Wizard style, right? There,
Yes.
Vince?
Yeah, we use our legs to leverage off.
No,
them,
but you
especially.
use your body, I think, more so like when you're working upside down. I think that.
Oh, you're gonna go there. You're gonna go with the upside down dent.
Well,
removal.
I think it's a great technique for using
Yeah.
your body.
It is
Wow.
because you're not using you're not overstretching your arms. Your arms aren't always fully extended. You're close to your body, so there's
Yeah, but you don't have to
everything
go
is
to
in
yoga
control.
class either.
No, but the first couple weeks of Dent Wizard training back in the day,
Yeah.
you're pretty much doing yoga.
Have you guys ever noticed the Dent Wizard hump that Dent Wizard guys get? They get one of their
It-
traps is always bigger than the other one.
Wait, dude, I got that hump. I've
Wait.
got that same hump. When they tattooed me, they were like, they tattooed my whole back. He was like, "Man, you're gonna have to stand a different way or something because your back looks crooked." I'm like, "Dude, that's just, it's just
Yeah,
the
that's
way
called
it
the Dent
is."
Wizard hump.
You know what though, John? I have to agree with you. I do. I don't have any wrist problems. I don't have any back problems. Well, once in a while I get a pinched
Yeah.
nerve, but that's about it. I don't have carpal tunnel. I don't have any of that stuff because
Just wait. Just
I
wait.
do teach my students as well how to use more of their body weight instead of their shoulder or the rotor cuff or their wrist. I tell them always to lean into the dent, use their own body weight a lot. So I do think subconsciously people don't realize over time that they are using their body weight,
Right.
but sometimes they think that they're actually using, more of their. I think over time they realize subconsciously I shouldn't use this because it's starting to hurt. So they find subconsciously another way to lean on that
Okay.
on that tool.
Okay. Do you guys ever use the behind the back pool shot move?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the hammer you're talking or
No,
pushing?
just a big long rod, and like if you're in a truck
Oh
bed
yeah.
and you put it behind your back and you lean against the tool.
Oh yeah. You like almost
you're
like
doing a
sit on
behind
it.
like you're doing a behind the back pool shot on a pool table, you know.
I did that one time and I freaking slipped and the damn rod flipped back and hit me in the back of the head, dude.
Hey, let me ask you guys something. Have you guys ever used a spotter?
Yeah.
Like literally had somebody else
Oh, yeah.
visualizing the
Yeah.
dent while you make that. I have that has not worked out the greatest for me. I mean, by the time next thing you know, I'm like, "You see it? Do you see it?" I look up like, "Oh, God, you let me poke a poke mark in that."
I've
What are
actually
you
had
doing?
somebody hold a tool for me while I'm trying to knock down an oil can dent to keep it stable.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
You know.
Do that one a lot.
Yeah.
Hey,
I got-
hold
I got
that
my-
just right there. Just a little bit right
I
there.
get my little secretary. She's like about 4'2", and I throw her in the back of the trunk, and I go, "Here, hold this dolly. There's a rubber dolly over here."
Yeah. Yep.
So,
So
Mike,
what are we
and-
getting into?
well,
Yeah.
what about you, buddy? Anything interesting happened this week? Tell us how your day's been, man. You said it's
Dude,
been rough.
If you look at my hair,
Hey,
you can pretty much see.
You can make
um,
people feel better if you tell them your struggles, man.
I got all of a sudden I got 3 motorcycle tanks I gotta do. Like all of a sudden I was crying the other day because I didn't have any motorcycle tanks. Now I got all of them, and all of them need to be done in 2 days. And now I'm not really looking forward to that because they're all hard tanks. And so you know how it is, like you guys know if you have a day off, but you know you got to work the next day, so you're not really enjoying your day off.
yeah.
That's kind of like what it is for me because I'm already tired about the next day and I haven't even started. So that's where I'm at. So
Right.
yeah.
I always preach PDRs like mixed martial arts. You have to know how to be a black belt in all categories. At Dent Trainer, you can improve your skills no matter what skill level you are as a PDR technician. We have all the latest video tutorials that are described in extreme detail with diagrams and clear explanations. Let's say you're a route tech and you want to branch out into the hail. First thing you'll want to know is how to write a proper estimate. Or perhaps you're curious about the line board and want to become better at reading that particular reflection. Or maybe what's up with the new cold glue? We have it at Dent Trainer. Check it out. Memberships start as low as $59 per month. And right now, you can sign up for 6 months for only $179. Become a Dent Trainer member. You'll be glad you did.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get started with the 5 tools you cannot live without. So, what are the 5 tools that, if you were told to go out to a lot and you only got to take 5 tools with you, what tools would you take? What are the musts? Now, should we go ahead and grant you the hammer and knockdown, and just talk about
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
given.
Yeah.
And reflection board or
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
you
not-
got
that doesn't
you got
count.
the
That
3
doesn't count.
basics, and then the actual tools that you're going to use to take the
Now,
dent.
honestly, guys, now that if your listeners are listening, this is raw dog right now because we didn't know what our podcast. We had so many different podcasts we were doing, and everybody was like not communicating today. So we said, let's just do the top 5 tools today. And so now now Daniel caught us all off guard. So we're trying to I'm trying to think. It's not that I don't have them. I just got so many that I'm trying to. You guys go first.
I'll
'cause
give
I'm
you
still
my
thinking.
I'll give you my number one tool. I
Okay.
cannot live
Vince is
without
going to
my
be easy because you've used the same 5 tools for 15 years or 20
Yeah,
years.
what? He's
dude.
only got
Yeah.
like 7 tools, right? So
21 years now. 21 years using the same 5 tools.
Okay, go ahead.
Number one is the 32-inch Ultra double bend tool with interchangeable tips. That tool alone and a hammer and a knockdown, I could probably make a career out of PDR. Maybe not a comfortable one, but I could make some money off that.
you could
tool.
probably just grab some braces and rip them away from the
Now,
skin.
is that
and-
the one with the turquoise
Exactly.
hammer or handle?
With the white handle?
A turquoise handle?
Like a blue? you
Yes,
mean?
blue handle. It's they make what, a 32, a 36,
No,
and
no,
a
they make-
42 or
they
something
make
like that.
24, 30, 36, 42, and a 48.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. The shortest one, the 24. Then
Gotcha.
that's the one. That's the one, Mike. You give to all your technicians, your newbies, right?
I do. I actually give them that tool last, and they go, "Why didn't you give this to me in the beginning?" I said, "Because you don't know. You don't know how to use that tool."
Well,
Right.
That tool alone, I used it down the doors, through the windows, through wiring harnesses, in wheel wells, quarter panels. Take out the taillight. You got the extensions on your tips if you needed an extra 2 inches, 3 inches,
Yeah,
4 inches.
it's like technically it's like a 6 tool in one, basically.
Absolutely. I use it on gas tanks for Harleys. It's probably the most versatile number one tool that I use. And if there was one tool that I could not live without, that would be the one.
Yeah, nice. I have to agree with that. That's a great tool. Love it.
What's your other 4, Vinny?
Well, let's go round
Oh,
table.
it's just one. Oh, it's
yeah,
round.
okay.
What's number one? Number one for everyone.
Okay, which
Look, I'm gonna have to say for me it would have to be the 42-inch Zircus tool. So that would
Sharp
be very very sharp tool. Well, I kind of go back and forth because I almost said a door tool, PDR finesse door tool, because I can use that as a well tail as well. You can sink it under braces, you can do things like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the Zircus tool because I know that I got 4 more, and I mean that thing I use it. I mean it's a hail technician's dream. You can use it through the wiring harness, get clean up into the door. It's long enough. It's got the leverage. I just use it everywhere. Bedside's phenomenal. I could sneak it up into a fender if I had to. So I'm going to say that 42-inch, it's the second biggest one. So it's not the very big one. It's the one right before that.
Cool. Daniel.
mine is it's kind of a Frankenstein tool. So it was a slow curve window tool that I got from PDQ. And then I cut the handle off and sent it to Steve way back in the day when he made a ratcheting handle, had him welded on a ratcheting handle. And then when I got it back, I slid a washer over it up to the handle and I welded it on to the that's real close to the ratcheting handle. So when I stick it down a door, and if it's tight and you know how you lift up on the ratchet, it'll release. Well, that welded on washer, I put my 2 fingers around. And it's just a natural thing that I do now. And I hold my fingers on there when I'm moving it up and down, and that keeps it from releasing. And then at the tip, I basically sanded it down so it's not a sharp, it's a dull round tool, but I make it knife thin at the very end. So it sort of works like a sharp tip tool, but it's dull, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my number one door ding window tool. It's about 22 inches.
Now, Daniel, you'll have to take a picture of that for the podcast
Everyone's got
so we see it.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna show me.
It looks
some
beat
pictures.
up. It's been around for a long time, but it keeps working. I've had it for over 10 years on that one.
Okay.
All right, Mike, you're up, buddy. What's your number one tool that you could not live without?
This tool, I'm gonna say, and people probably heard me say it a lot over the years. I was gonna say that one that you said, Vince, but I'm gonna give everyone a different one. I'll give a different one. It's called a Mo Money tool. I nickname it Mo Money. So
No money.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
every time I pick it up, it's more money, more money, more money. All right. So, so
I like it.
it's Ultra's door tool. It's kind of shaved, kind of got a nice heel to it. It's not too short, so it won't spin on you in the door. It's for me getting to those typical door dings out in the doors.
But
Yeah,
with that tool, Mike,
Huh?
there's flex in that tool. I
Hold
know
on a
it's-
second now. I
Okay.
have variations of that. And Ultra makes a thicker version of the one you like, the type that you like, a nice thicker paddle tool that doesn't have any flex. Now, the reason you have a thinner one is because sometimes you have to get between those braces. So, and also if you're working on a Bentley door, you need a thinner tool because you don't want to break the window. And so that's why I have variations. I have another one called Chango from Blim Tools. It's kind of similar. I nickname my tools so when my students understand, I say, go get Chango or go get Mo Money or go get something. They know what tool I'm talking about, but I'll post it up. But they're awesome. There's tons of tools like that, but I'd have to say the door tool from Ultra that I use the most.
Cool.
Good, good, good. So, Vince, now you are up, sir. What's number 2?
That's number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2 would be the Blem bendable whale tail.
Mm.
You got,
Oh yeah.
I know Mike has one. I don't know about
don't have
Daniel
one.
and John.
Yeah,
Nope.
I got one. That's good. That's a good tool.
The deal with this Blem bendable whale tail, I have a backup one, but I've never used a backup one because I've never broken the original, and I've had it now for at least 10 years. You bend it any way you want.
Does he still
and-
make that tool?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's called the Blem bendable whale tail. If you go into his whale tails on his website, you'll see the bendable whale tail. It's I want to say it's 32 inches long. For some
Does-
reason, I'm stuck on 32 today. I think all my tools are 32, even though they're not.
Does A1 make that?
No,
No.
Okay.
no.
No.
It is now the reason why I like it so much. It goes back to my Dent Wizard days. We used to have 3 levels of whale tails. We had a short, a middle, and a long one. And our middle length and long one, we were able to bend it so it would slip right down the window and right through the brace or angled to the brace, and then we were able to get behind the brace. Now, since then, there's shave tools that have come out, but before there was shave tools, all we had were whale tails. And this sucker is the closest thing to a Dent Wizard whale tail, even though the tail part of it, or the fin part of it, is wider than any Dent Wizard whale tails were.
Nice.
I mean, you could bend this tool any way you want. You could bend it in almost a 180-degree circle, and it still holds its rigidity. And I've had it for years. I have a backup one that's all rusted on my cart, and I've literally never used it. And I use that tool every single day for every single brace. It's my go-to.
Right. Okay, good. Hey,
Johnny.
so I already gave you guys a preview of what this one was. It is definitely the PDR Finesse, but it would be the mid-sized. I want to say it's, I'm going to be like Vince, say it's like 27, 28 inches. Door tool with adjustable handle, and I would go with the one with the 3-inch flag, not the 3.5-inch flag. I would go with the 3-inch flag. Occasionally, that 3.5-inch flag is definitely something that you need because the door is a little bit wider and you need that leverage. But I have used that 3-inch flag adjustable handle PDR Finesse tool on everything. I mean, I've
What's the
snuck
tip
them.
like?
what's the
It's like
tip
a
like?
blade tip.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a blade tip, and you can sink it because it's a blade tip. You can go in through a wiring harness and sink it up under a brace or down into a brace, or you can sink it up into a top door brace. I mean, you can just, it's very versatile. Let's just say I was doing hail and that was my only tool and I needed to hook into some braces, I would use that. If you need to hook into little cavities inside of hoods and things like that, I've just used it absolutely everywhere. It really was a contender as my number 1 tool, but it's definitely, I'm going to put it down as my number 2 tool today, PDR Finesse.
I have that tool. I love that tool.
The one with the 3-inch, because the 3.5-inch, you lose that drive.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's good when the door protrudes way out.
Yeah.
You got a wide door.
But then again, the 226 door tools compensate for that width. So I'm finding less uses for my 3.5 inch because I'll just pick up a 226, in place of it.
Well, that's good intro for me because the 226 is my next favorite tool, and I have the long and the short. And honestly, I think I wanted a one in between that, the long and the short. I think I could have done away with one tool at like 20 to 22 inches. But now I've gotten so used to the long and the short. Um, I'm kind of glad I didn't do that, and I have the long and the short. Do you know what the 226 tool is from PDR Finesse It?
I have no idea.
So it's it's like a slow J curve, but it's got a weird hump in it, and so you use the backside of it for big dents down a door, or you use the other and you turn it over, and it's got a blade, sharp blade on it.
Oh, yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay. It's
that
got a
tool.
little hump in the
If you
blade of it.
guys don't have that tool, go out and get it. That is a great tool, especially for big dents on a door going down through a window. I mean, I don't know how else you're going to take out a big dent, take a large area out without that tool.
You guys have an echo going on there?
No.
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 And so that leaves you to Mike. What's your next tool, number 2 for you?
Ooh, I'm probably gonna say that's probably underrated, but I use a wire from Dentcraft. It's an inline 8-inch wire tool. It's called the W408. So it's I mean, getting to those little tiny dings near the edge of a door or the front of a hood.
What size diameter when you say wire? I'm thinking like less than a quarter inch.
Yeah, 0.125 diameter. It's real skinny, so small. It's
Huh.
3.2 millimeter.
Hmm.
Very strong. Actually, the next one up is pretty strong as too, but it doesn't. It holds it's not like your typical wire, guys. Because if you use a regular wire, you're gonna bend it, and this one holds its strength as you twist on those little deep little pits you're trying to get out. Anything close near an edge, because it's a 90-degree tip. So flag, okay, the heel, and you can get right to the dents. Generally, it's super strong, and I keep that sucker close to me in my bag at all times. So that's definitely one of my go-to wire tools, because you always need a dent that you have to get to in small places. I need a tool to get to a dent in small places, and that's one of them I use. That's actually probably the only one I use because it's so strong, so small, and it does the job really clean and really good.
Cool.
That's nice to know.
All right, Vince, number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me is my Craftsman hammer. Yellow on one side, red on the other. Way before all these blending hammers came along. And don't get me wrong, there's nice blending hammers out there, but I still use my Craftsman hammer. I use it to blend. I use it to pound out dents like John was talking on the backside of truck beds. I use it for everything. And it's probably, it's not my original one, but it's probably a good 10, 15 years old at this point. And it's rock solid. It's extremely versatile. I'm always using it. It's always in my hand. It's always in my pocket. It's ready to go. And yeah, that's it. Number
Cool.
3.
Cool.
Craftsman hammer with
All
my
right, John.
custom grip.
Number three. All right.
All right,
So my number 3 would be my PDR Finesse. It's a 22-inch shave tool with adjustable handle. It is their version that is bendable. And I'm going to tell you something. This shave tool, I have never had anything like this. I mean, it is like a whale tail on steroids. You can literally drop that sucker. And what I love about it, here's what I love so much. Okay, you know them little holes that are right by the door handle where you can pop off and adjust the door handle, stuff like that. You can pop them little plugs off of the door, and you can shoot that thing through a hole. and jam it up underneath a brace.
Well, hold on a second. Which whale tail are you talking about?
Well, it's actually PDR Finesse. It's a shave tool, but it's one of their
Okay.
It's one of their bendable ones. It's about 20 inches long, 22 inches long, and the thing just literally bends and wraps, kind of like Vince was talking about the whale tail, where you can kind of bend it a little bit to curve into the braces, stuff like that. This tool has been phenomenal. I mean, I look at it and I just say, wow, like what did I do before I had you? Because all them upper braces, like you can go in through a door handle hole, pull that little plug out where the door handle is, and just go clean up into the middle of the door and put it clear up under the brace. It's so thin and so strong. Now here's the kicker. You know the Porsche 911 doors with that brace, the turbos with that brace down there. Well, you know how they got the rubber plugs down there at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, the drain holes.
You can pop them plugs out and shoot that thing clear up under that brace like a whale tail, and it freaking works that whole brace line with ease. I mean,
Well, that's my next one. I was gonna say, but it's not the shave tool. It's mine's. I guess my fourth one was it? Are we on the fourth?
No,
or
no,
third?
I'm
Yep,
next.
yep. Daniel's next. Daniel's
All right,
next.
well, I'm gonna
Say,
tell
hey,
you what
hey.
mine is after yours. Then go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Mine is a ultra double bend. I believe it's about 24 inches.
Don't tell me a blade tip tool.
It's the blade.
Dude, all my stuff is gone. You guys are like taking all my stuff, man. All right, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that double bend flat blade. Yeah, that's great tool all around. Down the door, up underneath.
Between the braces.
Between the braces, it's strong. Yeah, love that tool. Now I had them put I finally cut the handle off, and I had them weld on one of their. It's one of the nice things that Ultra does is you can send them a tool. They'll cut the handle off and they'll put a adjustable handle end on it, so you can put a right handle on it or a T handle or whatever you want. So that's what I did with mine.
Nice. My turn.
Yep.
You're up.
Same tool.
Oh, you guys are taking like Vince. You took my soft tip tool. I like that one. Yes, the blade tip tool, but I actually like the longer one. So I like the longer versions of that too, Daniel, because I like to go down the side of the braces of the panels, like because I need a double bend blade and I need a slightly less double bend. But that's not my other one I was going to talk about. I'm going to go where John Hiley was going. He says he's got a shave tool. I like Dentcraft's UWT30 and the 20. What that is a 1/2 inch whale tail. And that sucker will get through the drain holes and get through 1/2 inch holes. And it is strong, it is thin, and it kills every small little dent near a body, near a seam, near a brace, in between the glues. It's not a wide whale tail, it's a 1/2 inch whale tail. It's bendable, and I love that tool. And that's what I highly recommend getting one of those. So it's the Dentcraft UWT30. And I think Dentcraft makes one of the best whale tails on the market as far as everything. Nothing against anyone else. And I think a lot of tool makers know that Dentcraft makes probably some of the best whale tails on the market. So I highly recommend those.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Number 4, Vince.
Number 4, okay, it's going to be 2 tools because there's a left and a right. And that is the Dentcraft BRH10, which is a heavy brace tool. So the left side would be the red handle, and the right side would be the red handle, left side is yellow. So a 10-inch heavy brace tool. I use this all the time through upper door braces when you're going through the handle hole. It also squeezes in through drain holes, or if you pull off the rubber seal off of the edge of the door, you could usually sneak it in one of those holes. Because, being an ex-dent wizard, I don't manufacture holes, but I'm pretty good at widening out factory ones. So that would be the 10-inch heavy brace tool, right and left, which is the BRH10 or the BLH10.
Okay, I
Nice.
gotcha. So,
Okay.
Off to you there, John.
yo, what are we on? Is that number 4?
Yeah.
4.
So this, I'm gonna kind of cheat on this because I'm gonna say an entire glue pulling kit. Okay, a slide hammer with a tab and
Cheater.
some
Yeah, I was
glue
gonna
or
say,
something
that's
like that.
cheating, man.
Like how, but how, I can't just say a slide hammer because then I'm stuck without a glue tab. And then I'm gonna need to get a glue tab would be my next tool, and then blah on and on down, and then I need a glue gun. Wait, and I need some alcohol too. I mean, does that count as a tool?
Well, we're gonna have to talk about that. What's the best glue pull kit out there?
Was
So,
it alcohol? Did you say alcohol?
Yeah.
Say alcohol.
Hey, no, look. Hey, here's what I probably do though. I'd get something that had an Atlas tab because Atlas tabs tend to be my favorite go-to curve tabs. I like a lot of the other tabs, but I really use Atlas quite a bit and the Titans and all that stuff. I would want a kit that has the Atlas tabs, the Anthony Spencer slide hammer, and some glue with it and some slide hammers, and I would be off to the races because I would have to have a glue pulling kit. That would encompass a lot of the other dents. I mean, how can I roll up on a hail car and tell them that I'm going to have to drill holes in their rail, right?
I do it all the time. So,
Hey, it's just a crumble zone. Who cares?
yeah, just kidding. Just kidding.
All right, number 4 for me. It's a 1/4-inch tool from Dent Gear. It's a ball tip. It's just like a normal rod tool, but it's a 1/4-inch and it's got an inline handle. I don't know the number of it. I'm gonna have to search for it. But it's it's only about 15 inches long, and I love that tool. It's one of my favorite tools for doing little dents right around the door handle, and the little sharp ones, anything around the door handle. It's one of my go-to tools. I use that thing up in under hoods. It'll go through those small little holes that are under hoods and stuff. But it's strong. It's really a good tool. I'll have to look up the number. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry, guys. All right, off to you, Myke.
Is that we on 5?
4.
4.
We're on 4? Oh,
Yep.
okay. Ooh. Honestly, I'm gonna say sharp tips. I couldn't tell you which one I want. I mean, I use all of them. I mean, I couldn't pick one. I mean, if I'm doing aluminum, I'm using a straight pick. If I'm doing down the door, I'm using a Zircus one or the new Dent Gear one that they just came out with, which they're making a Mark Zircus set now too, I guess. So sharp tips, man. I'm not gonna. You guys have to check it out. I mean, John's already said it. I said it. So, but the new Ultra straight picks are legit. I mean, I like those. They're not new, but they've been out for a while. I just have them sharpen them super sharp, and it seems like PDR Finesse, they do make their tools sharper than anybody I've ever seen. So,
Right.
sharp tips.
Hey, Mike, and here's the thing. Everybody thinks sharp tips, they think poke marks, but it is exactly the opposite. You can move the metal with sharp tips, shallow that dent up, move it along, and literally you're not going to
Yeah.
have any knockdown work. When done properly, you can avoid a lot of knockdown work with sharp tips.
I like it because it makes me. I can look at a dent and I can see every push clearly and very methodical. It's like a methodical as you're pushing. It's hard to explain, but I do like it. I like pushing with sharp tips.
Yep.
That's just me.
All right, Vincey.
All right,
Number
number 5.
five.
Number 5. I wish it was top 10 because I do have a handful of other tools that I do use. But I am technically a flat bar kind of guy. So I am going to go with the flat bar. And out of those flat bars, I had to think about which one I use the most. And I'm going to have to say the dent dial. I used the dent dial quite a bit. I know you guys did a podcast last time without me being around talking about flat bars, but I don't use the dent dial the way Sal uses it. I hardly ever use the slide on it, mainly because of setup time and the attachments are archaic at times. But I do like the fact that the tips are interchangeable. I have a 30, is it 32, Myke? What's the smaller one?
22 and
22.
35.
I got a 22 heavy that I use all the time, in fender wells and bedsides and things like that. And it just has a nice gentle bend on it that I've never bent it any more than the one time that I bent it. And the fact that it accepts all different types and shapes of tips, I'm constantly changing it with whatever tip I need for the job to get it done, including the one that looks like a whale tail, Mike, that you gave me. You remember that? I think that
Oh yeah,
might
yeah,
have been a
yeah, yeah,
PDR
yeah.
finesse.
The finesse one, yeah,
Yeah, the
awesome.
PDR finesse one. I tend to use that a lot. I put some tape on the end of it, and I'm able to pull out creases really quick with that sucker, just walking it along there, especially when you're on a fender well. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with the dent dial as number 5.
Gosh, and these things are so hard to choose, but yeah, keep going. Go ahead.
Nice,
That's a
nice,
good. That's a
nice.
good tool. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
So, my next one would be definitely the Ultra 90 bend. It's a 30-inch tool, and it's a soft tip. It is an absolute phenomenal. I'm grabbing it all the time. All of anybody who works here, works alongside me, any of my students, they always end up buying the Ultra 90 bend. It once you start using it, it tends to be one of them ones that you can't live without. In fact, I want to say Corey Fisher was here for the Dents for Kids, and he was grabbing it and using it on this nasty deck lid that he actually repaired here. And just anybody who gets their hand on this Ultra 90 bend that's 30 inches, go out and buy that thing because you will not be disappointed. It'll almost be your go-to tool for, I want to say, for me, it's around 50% of the dents. I'm using that Ultra 90 bend soft tip.
John, is it the fixed soft tip, or are you able to interchange
Oh,
the
no, I don't want
tips
the
on it?
fixed one. This one's short. I mean, it's really small. Like, you can't even get a soft tip that would screw on there that would be short enough to fit on this thing. So, literally, it's a really tiny, it's only like about a half inch
Dude,
above the
you said
rod.
it too. You guys are stealing all my tools, man. So, yeah, I know exactly what you're
That's
talking
because you
about.
went last, buddy.
I put
Yeah.
that in my kit that I like. If you guys actually on Dent Trainer and you go on and look at tool essentials, there is a list that shows tool essentials, a list, and more than half the tools that these guys are talking about are on that list.
Well, we
So,
watched it.
Yeah, we're just picking on you, Mike.
Yeah, I
We're,
like distribute the video out to Vince
I don't have
and
any. You
Daniel
guys said it
before
all.
we.
I'm done. I'm out of
how,
here.
how could we mess with Mike today? He's
No.
had a bad day. Oh, let's just pick out all his favorite tools and call them our own.
All right, number
Five. Daniel.
5 for me. So I was gonna pick this tool, but the problem is you can't buy it, and it's a tool
Next.
that I made, and it's a balloon tip tool. So it's like a whale tail, but it's a balloon tip tool that I made. It's made out of no, it's
Tungsten.
Zinc. It's made out of zinc.
It's a bendable tool,
Diamond.
but it was heat treated on both ends and not heat treated in the middle, and so you can bend it in the middle of the tool. But it's so stiff and so strong. But guys can't go out and buy that tool, so I can't mention that tool. So forget that. So my next tool is the bendable tool in my motorcycle set, and that tool is so stiff but bendable. You have to use a bender to be able to bend it, but interchangeable tips, so you can put any length extension on the tip and any tip on there. And then now, if you don't know, that Ultra sells an extension for the handle, so you can end up taking that tool. It's about 22 inches, I think, and you can make it any length you want. And so that tool ends up interchanging to be 5 or 6 different tools, and it's bendable. So it's really my go-to tool for any job, and it'll work great on a truck bed. It's super stiff, just an excellent tool. I use it on cars all the time besides motorcycles.
You know what? Last week, Dwayne, who came in, had that tool. He actually had your whole kit, and it was pretty neat. I was able to fool around with him. He had the pull-off handles and all that stuff. Sweet tool, man. For sure.
Yeah, and Ultra makes the new. He has new pull or handles that have the
Quick
spring
release.
quick release. That's what he calls them. Yes, thank you. Quick release, and those handles are awesome.
All right, Mike, let's hear your last one. I know you're hiding one from us. And before we hit to our quick tips, let's come on. I know you at least got one. I mean, you are a
You
tool.
guys really
What about the
took all of
Colafria?
them.
What about the Colafria? Nobody said that.
You know what? I could, here's the deal. We're gonna have to come up to the top 5 tools again. You know what I mean? Because it's like neck and neck.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
hard.
now what you guys said. If we had to go out right now, and you had to go to a job, and you weren't sure what tools you were gonna grab, obviously it depends on what job you're going to. If you went blind, I'm gonna just bring you down mine. I'm gonna so we can recap. Okay. Vince already said it, but I'm a soft tip, double bend soft tip. I'm going to use a whale tail. I'm going to bring a wire. I'm going to bring a sharp pick tool. And I'm probably going to bring a 36-inch or longer double bend blade tip. Now, the reason why I say blade tip is because if I have to go through a narrow area, I can get it high enough where the dent's at. If I use the round one, I could get stuck. Also, I need a double bend because I need to create leverage in case the panel's too open. If it's somewhat open, then yeah, I still have a good shot. So between those 5 tools, double bend soft tip, because I have 5 different tools in once, like Vince said, I got a small wire to get to a dent that's close to an edge or in a brace. I've got a whale tail for the same thing, getting up different areas, and it can fit through a 1/2-inch hole. And the pick for our sharp tip, and the double bend blade tip tool in case I need to get through a truck bed or something big and wide or something open. So that's my 5 top tools right then and there if I had to go out.
Nice. Yeah, that's
one.
you know,
Good recap.
I actually choose the glue pulling kit over the whale tail. So I was like so in between that, and then I picked my shave tool. So I was like, I could probably at least glue pull something far enough up a brace. I could jam any tool in there. So
Yeah.
I mean, bam, just get it off that
Hey,
brace. I got to jam a
considering-
tool.
I mean, hopefully you do have a glue pull kit, you guys out there. But I mean, yeah, So, but those are the 5 tools I would bring.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike. Back when I got when I only had 16 or 17 tools, that's the reason why I started getting good at glue pulling, because half the time I couldn't get to the dent, so I was forced there was no other way. But
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think this is a really good episode, even though you're talking, we all have other tools that we would go to get to dents and fix dents. But the top 5, like you said, that you cannot live without. If you had to start your business right now and choose 5 tools and go out and fix a car blindly,
right.
I think it's.
Or do you guys have that tool that you all of a sudden you start looking for it and you can't find it, and then you start to get a little panic. You're like, uh-oh, did I leave that somewhere?
Oh
Did I
yeah,
leave that in the
my
car?
hammer.
Did I leave that in the last job? Oh shit! And then that panic starts growing and growing and growing. What's that tool?
Hey, you veteran PDR techs, thinking about getting into motorcycle PDR? Or perhaps you already are, but you don't have that professional stand? Well, the new Danial Grom MPDR Vice 2.0 offers the ultimate gas tank setups with better leverage, stability, and access when it comes to those challenging dents. Order your MPDR Vice Stand 2.0 at motopdr.com.
I've had to drive clear across. I've had to drive like an hour early in the morning to go pick up my hammer, which if you guys have seen my hammer, it's this old dirty black hammer. It's like a Ding King 1999 style. And it's still got the little rattle in it where the beads are starting to, the sand in it. And the beads are coming out. Like one end, I got to pump dent guy glue in it on one end because the beads will start falling out on this thing. And now let me tell you guys a story. So I'm walking through the Mobile Tech Expo a couple years ago, and I've got this, and I've got a couple of my tools. I'm doing the Dent Olympics. Tom Price sees me walking around, and he's like, hey, is that a Dent Gear 1999 hammer? Or a Ding King 1999 hammer? I was like, yes, sir, it is. And he was like, you better keep your eye on that. Somebody's going to steal that from you. He was dead serious. Dead serious.
That's funny. I love Tom, man. Tom is great. He's so funny.
So,
yeah.
I also keep I keep a very sharp Harbor Freight drill bit too as well. I can't never leave home without that. And don't forget your battery drill charged. So
You know.
Vince
All right,
keeps a
so-
big poker, but he doesn't drill. He's got this giant
I-
half-inch poker, and he just he beats it with his hammer into the panel. So
that's called the punch. A very
The
Yeah,
sharp
well,
punch.
this is a funny story about that. Like when you're in Dent Wizard training back in the day, they probably still do it. They gave you an awl, but they also gave you this ridiculously big screwdriver. And you're thinking to yourself, what the hell am I going to use this huge screwdriver? It was a Phillips screwdriver. Well, the only thing we ever used them for was to widen out a hole. It was like a number 4 Phillips screwdriver. This huge mechanic screwdriver. We would just,
Dent Wizard screwed it up for everybody. That's
proud-
why we can't
proud.
drill. Is because you guys punched holes in it, and it ruined the rental car industry. They said nope. They didn't know the difference between drilling and punching a hole. They just
Yeah.
didn't want a hole, and it was because of Dent Wizard, I think.
they were putting gummy puffers in there instead of plugs.
Yeah,
Yes.
you drill a
Well,
nice hole, paint it, and put a plug in it. That's the right way to do it.
the gummy puffers. That was the Mercedes gummy puffers. At least we were adding class to the car. We were
Yeah.
adding a factory Mercedes plug rather than a,
I used to
cheapo
be
plastic.
so particular about my plugs. I used to carry around all this vinyl graphic that was all these different colors, and I would put a flush locking plug in there and cut a nice little square the same color as the car and lay it over there with a vinyl graphic and actually cover it up. Is how particular I was at one point with hiding my tracks when I was working at car dealers.
That was called considerate back then. dude.
Yeah, that
you
was-
were really looking out for the customer back
Yeah.
then.
Well, see,
They would give us a can of silicone to spray in the hole before we put a plug in it, or the weather stripping back in. And the silicone was more caustic than anything. It was like you smelt it. It smelled like vinegar, right?
Yeah.
So, you're promoting rust by putting that thing in before you put a plug in it.
hey,
crazy,
and not to
crazy.
mention break that out at a body shop. You're in trouble.
Right?
Yeah, that stuff floats around in the air. They'll boot you out, man.
Moving
Yes.
on. Our last segment, dude. Daniel, tech tip.
The tech tip.
What's your tech tip?
I got an interesting tech tip. Let me know when you're ready.
You go, John.
Go, John,
Okay,
go for
so here's something I want to talk about. Everybody is trying to decide, should I use steel or should I use titanium? So I've been doing quite a few studies with titanium versus steel. And my tech tip is just giving you something to think about when it comes to choosing titanium versus steel. Now, both of them definitely have their advantages. Titanium has literally no tuning fork effect. So when you're hitting with it, you kind of hear a tick on the panel rather than a ting with steel. So literally, steel has a tuning fork effect. Titanium is great for direct hits. When you're doing blending and you've got a ridge that needs a direct hit smack down right on top of it, you want your hit to be isolated. That's where titanium is phenomenal. It's lighter than steel and it has about the same impact versus the weight. So literally everything that hits delivers itself into the panel, but it doesn't go any further than what it delivers right into that one specific spot.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
There, John. So I've been using Jeremy's new titanium hammer.
Yes.
And what I've noticed is if you're working in a large panel where it's kind of, it's not real tight, the metal's not really tight, and that titanium hammer seems to work better in that situation
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to blend out. Have
Well,
you noticed anything
well,
like that?
it's because it isolates the hit and it isolates the impact point. But if you're working on a rail, for instance, usually steel, the weight of steel versus the tuning fork effect, and if you're truly blending a rail, it's actually going to resonate with the steel and they're going to kind of tune together and you're going to begin
Makes
to get
sense.
that bounce like a basketball, okay? Like when you're just fluently bouncing a basketball. Titanium hits and it thuds and it impacts, so that's like deflating your basketball a little bit.
Almost
but
like
it-
a dead blow. Right?
Right, but it hits and it isolates that individual spot. But steel is almost like something that it tings so well
Vibrate.
Yeah,
Like
that
the
when
right
you
way?
get into a blending session on a rail that you're trying to get smooth little waves out and things like that, steel
Yeah.
is actually going to resonate a little bit better because it's going to cause metal around it to move, and titanium is going to isolate your spots while you're doing your hits. So I've been doing some tests with them, and I can get a blending hammer going crazy with steel, but I can isolate spots with titanium. So it's different. Like if I'm going down a side of a wobbly panel, I might want to use a little bit of titanium to isolate that hit on that flimsy panel along the side of a car, like a side panel, because I want to knock down just that spot. I don't want to create a bigger low or anything like that. So I want to get a maximum efficiency on my hit. And then steel, if I'm on
Yeah.
a rail or something like that, I'm going to want the bouncing effect of steel flowing through that panel and actually moving the metal. So that's my tech tip today.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one. I haven't got the titanium tips yet. I haven't got anything yet.
Well, you'll know what
so-
I'm talking about because just like Daniel said, right when you use them, you hear a tick, don't you? It's like it doesn't go any further than that tip. I mean, you hear
Yeah.
like a tick in it.
It's
Eh,
definitely different.
And when you put steel on there, you hear a ting. You feel like because titanium, 99% of whatever it hits delivers into the panel. It doesn't go back into your hammer. You don't feel any tuning fork effect. Steel, 70% will roll straight through it. So it'll actually ting through it like a tuning fork.
Interesting. Interesting.
How about you, Vince?
Oh, tech tip. You know what? I thought of one while sitting here because normally I'm not really good at tech tips. I do this day in and day out, and I don't even think that some of the stuff could be useful to other technicians. But the one thing that came to mind is a sacrificial whale tail. I think everyone should have a sacrificial whale tail. It's an old one that's rusty and bent or lost its spring to it. And I heat the sucker up with my my torch, get it red hot, and push it right through glue. That way, I could shave away glue, especially like on Dodge or Chrysler products where the glue is ridiculously hard. You can melt through the glue and create yourself a little channel that you can get your good whale tail in there and fix the dent, or a shave tool to get in there and fix the dent as well. So I think everyone should have a sacrificial whale tail with a butane torch or a gas torch that you could heat up and get through that glue and get going on your dent quicker without making ridges and snail trails along the way.
That reminds me of
I see
one
Mike
of my
smiling.
one of my students. He was using some map gas or something like that. he said he lit the car on fire, dude. Like, which was had it up too high and it freaking just lit the car on fire. But anyways, my tech tip would be for glue pulling. I'm really finding out that there is. I do the 5-10 second rule when I go to glue pull. So anytime I do a new test on glue pulling, I give it 5 to 10 seconds at the most and pull it. But I've got to make sure that glue is super hot. If it's not hot enough, then that 5 to 10 second rule is not going to work. So make sure your glue is hot. Go 5-10 seconds, and that seems to be the optimum time to pull on a dent. And I get that sucker lifted up high. It seems like as I wait longer and longer, it starts reversing. It'll pull off faster and without a hard pull. So it's a cool little quick tip I use.
Right. What
Cool.
about you, Daniel?
My tech tip is to always carry a bottle of black touch-up paint. I have it in my tool belt, and I seal every hole that I have to drill. I make that a mandatory deal. I always seal everything I do, no matter where it's at, or if I hog out a hole and I crack the paint. And that's it. That's my tech tip.
Hey, that's it, Daniel. I always tell people, be like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and put a plug in there and we'll seal her up. And then they catch me and I'm like, I got touch-up paint. Like, that's what you're sealing it with?
Yeah.
It does. You know what I mean? It paints it. When you put that flush lock and plug in there, bam, connects, done with it, boom.
Well, guys, I got to get out of here. My family just
Oh.
got back from hiking, and we're going out for another adventure. So I'm going to call it quits here. I'll see you guys later. See you the
All
next
right.
time.
You the man, Daniel.
See you
Okay,
guys.
All right, Daniel. See
All
you
right.
now.
So anyhow, guys, as a quick reminder, it looks like our show just totally ended right there. So anyhow, Daniel rolled out of there, and I just hung up literally on everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the show by reminding you guys to get in there and write us a review. We would greatly appreciate it. It just helps keep us going. When you get in there, I'm going to announce on the shows who has written reviews. And I actually will look at that next week on our following show, and I'm going to announce all the reviews that had been written. I'm going to get a few more in there. I know we recently got one from Gene Fetty, who had written a real nice review for us. Vicente has written a review, and there's several more, and I'm going to go over all of them. That's Vicente Rios from Puerto Rico. And everybody knows Mean Gene Fetty. We're going to have to get him on the show here eventually. But, and you guys, just a heads up here, it's going to be the last week. By the time you hear this podcast, we're only going to have an additional, 3 or 4 days to the end of this month, or maybe a week towards the end of, what is this month? January, February, the end of March. Yep, so it's March 21st now. You guys should be hearing this podcast here in about a week. And denttrainer.com is running a special for 6 months of access for $179. And that renews for a lifetime. So you're going to actually be locked into denttrainer.com lifetime renewal for $179. And I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of what's going on in denttrainer.com. We are going to be having live events. That's right. We're actually setting up live webinars. So starting next month, hopefully by the end of next month, maybe the middle if we're lucky, but the end of next month, we're going to have a protocol for a live webinar for our members on denttrainer.com, where you're going to have we're going to have a Q&A session. We're going to be able to answer your questions. We're going to be able to interact with you, and we're going to be able to talk about specific topics and actually connect with our membership on a whole nother level. And these live events are going to be so valuable. It's just going to be an amazing thing that we're going to be able to offer on denttrainer.com. And again, hey, apologize for everybody hanging up on us right there. Sometimes Skype does that. But I'm going to finish up the show by saying we appreciate having you on here listening to us. And as always, we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.
I always preach PDRs like mixed martial arts. You have to know how to be a black belt in all categories. At Dent Trainer, you can improve your skills no matter what skill level you are as a PDR technician. We have all the latest video tutorials that are described in extreme detail with diagrams and clear explanations. Let's say you're a route tech and you want to branch out into the hail. First thing you'll want to know is how to write a proper estimate. Or perhaps you're curious about the line board and want to become better at reading that particular reflection. Or maybe what's up with the new cold glue? We have it at Dent Trainer. Check it out. Memberships start as low as $59 per month. And right now, you can sign up for 6 months for only $179. Become a Dent Trainer member. You'll be glad you did.